I thank you guys for joining us. This is not going to be a full episode today. This is just going to be a coffee break session where we'll quickly tell you why we're not having a full episode this week, but we will be um, here next week for episode 74. And that's the episode where we are going to talk about the craziest, most complicated conspiracy theory, murder case, bank robbery. I don't even know.
There's too many crimes to even.
Yeah, and they don't make sense. The only thing that makes sense in this case, which happened in 2003, is Brian Wells walking into a bank with a collar bone around his neck. That's the only thing that makes sense. Everything before, leading up to him walking into that bank, the PNC Bank in Erie, Pennsylvania, and after that, none of it makes sense. And this was actually a viewer suggestion. So thank you, Lofton, for suggesting that we do this. So we'll be back with
a chance to go and watch it before next week's episode. It's called Evil Genius on Netflix.
Yes, Evil Genius.
4 episodes.
Yes. And then you'll understand just how crazy this thing really, really is. Jackie can't be here today. She did have a minor emergency. So we thought that since this was a huge case and a viewer suggestion, all 3 of us should be here to discuss it. But in the meantime, of course, we always have other things to talk about. One of them being this huge mess in the Ukraine, in their Russia's war against the Ukraine. I don't even know what to think about it.
What's killing me is that there are people who are cheering because Russia went into a country with no provocation, and they're cheering the fact that I thought that Russians weren't an ally. Like, I thought,
well,
let's all against the Russian propaganda and all of that.
Which Americans are we talking about? Well, are we talking about our America or the other America? Okay. Because the reason why it's the other America is because these super evangelistic, conservative people will align themselves with anyone who looks like them. And because their very fearful leader aligned himself with Vladimir Putin and Russia during his entire 4 years in the White House, then they're going to follow that. But Russia has never been an ally of the United States, has never been an ally of any country other than itself. Russia has always, from its inception, has always been about itself. It has always been a warring country. It has always been a country where the wealth gap is much greater, probably much greater than any other country in the world, any other place in the world. So for people to be like, well, they're Christian. No, they're Orthodox, which really isn't, the Russian religion really isn't one. It's run by the state. It's run by the state.
It's just all bad all around. Like,
it is.
And Russians are lined up for blocks and blocks to get money out the bank. The ruble is worth hardly anything. Food is going to become scarce. It's just sad.
If you want to know what the possibility of what Russia is going to look like, think about Russia during the Stalin era. Think about Russia during the revolution in the 19s and the 1920s after World War I. Think of Russia then. These people were living in severe austerity. Millions of people died from starvation. There was no food. People, this is what Russia does. Russia will declare war on someone at the expense of her people or its people. And the people suffer. And like you said, there are, people lined up to get money. Well, a lot of countries have put a hold on electronic payments, and that's what people worldwide use now. I mean, it's universal. So they can't, even the creature comforts, and people think, some people, I was seeing some comments where it's not a big deal, but they can't use Netflix. They can't, pay Netflix. Um, but it's like, it's not a big deal. It is. Like, if someone canceled your Netflix account, what would you do? Like, I get mad every time Netflix raises my rate $2, but I won't cancel it. I
But
won't cancel it.
even Russian, like they're not, like my brother-in-law was telling me, they're not working on Russian planes, and they're not anything that is an export that goes into Russia. They're not
No,
doing.
no.
So that could be, I mean, that could be, it might not be Netflix, but it might be, food, or
Goods.
yeah, goods, items that
Yes.
you need.
And I don't really think that, I think like, and I could be wrong, but I don't think Russia is an exporter of goods other than probably weapons.
Well, they
Um,
did gas, and of course Ukraine is soybeans, what was it, soybeans, corn, and something else I can't
mhm.
remember.
But those are all surplus items in here in the
Yeah.
US. So
But
I don't.
well, it won't affect us, but it'll affect those in Europe who got those items from Ukraine.
Right, right.
Like,
And what another scary thing is that one of the first things that the Russian Federation, or whatever you want to call them, that they seized was Chernobyl. And I'm like, what are you going to do with a defunct
right.
nuclear reactor? Which is scary. I mean, Chernobyl by itself just brings fear, but just to think, what are you going to do with it? It's really sad. So I guess we just gonna have to wait it out to see how far Putin is willing to take this. We just don't know. So pray for people in Ukraine. If you have family who are Ukrainian, or friends, you know, prayers to y'all, and also prayer to. I have to say this. This is no longer Black History Month, but it is always Black History every day of the year. Also prayers to the African students,
Yeah.
who were going to universities in the Ukraine. They have had the most horrible time trying to get across the border. There are videos of Polish and Ukrainian, I think it's mostly Ukrainian, authorities and people pushing them off of trains and not allowing them transport in lieu of Ukrainians getting them across. But there has been some aid and some talks to get the African students out. And this is the thing, uh, Black people in the diaspora, we will help, we will pray for, and we will care for people who do not care for us at all. We're having this conversation about the Ukraine, but we will do this for people because that's just a part of who and what we are. But
Because
at the
we've been.
same time, right. But at the same time, no one cares for us.
Yeah.
You want aid from America, which huge Black population, from countries in Africa, but you don't care for our people. So this is what I can say, and I can't say this for the entire country. The but what I can say is, don't do this. You are going through a rough time, and you don't want the world to turn its back on you. So don't turn your back on the people who would likely help you most. This is not the time to be selfish. I get it. You want your people across the border, but anybody in the Ukraine right now is in danger. Everybody in the Ukraine is in danger. So just let this be a humanitarian issue. If someone is residing in the Ukraine, in the Ukraine, let them out. Don't push them back. Let them out just because they're Black. Like, it's ridiculous. We're gonna move on from that before we just turn it into a whole ass history lesson. Oh, this is what I found out. The guy, what is his name? Matthew Coleman. He's the surfer guy who who murdered his kids in Mexico last year. Okay, so he said that he thought that his wife may have had serpent DNA and he didn't know if she was a shapeshifter. So that's why he killed his kids because he thought that they had the DNA. And he's, QAnon conspiracy theorist, whatever. Well, recently it's also been released that he said he was having a dream or whatever, and that he kept seeing all these codes and numbers, and he thought he was Neo from the Matrix. Y'all cannot be so weak-minded that
this man had to have had some kind of mental illness before this all came down. On QAnon, I can't. This man had to have some kind of mental illness before all of this.
I don't know if I can blame it on mental illness, Brown.
You think it's QAnon?
I think QAnon in itself, if you believe in that shit, is something's wrong with you. I don't think you're insane.
Brad, the Matrix?
I think you're very weak-minded, and I think that the other America feels that they are so vulnerable to people of color and the brown people's agenda, that they will be erased. I think it's a fear that allows them to believe this crap. It's fear, and if fear is a mental illness, then they've got it. It's just abject fear of being erased or being lost. You think that the brown people around this world are going to rise up against you, and the thing is, we don't want to. We just want you to leave us. We just want you to leave us alone.
Thought out that well in his mind. He's just crazy.
I don't think he thought about it, but I think that's the issue. Like, that's the underlying issue. So I don't think it's a thought, but yeah. So let's see what else. This was
the update on the Simon and how the family's suing him.
Yes. So the Tinder swindler, Simon Leviev, is actually being sued by the Leviev family for using their name, basically just dragging them through the mud.
Their business.
Dragging them through the mud. I mean, he made up the whole story about them smuggling diamonds, and like that was created by Simon to kind of throw off everybody. That just fed into his whole narrative of they're after me, I need you to do this. There was never any smuggling ring. There was never any scandal with the real Leviev family. But here's the thing, he still goes by that name. Like, he's still going by Simon Leviev. He's still going by Simon, and he is still living in the lap of absolute luxury. Yeah, I don't know how you do it. We will go ahead and end on that, but we did want to tell you that we will be back next week with a regular episode. If you can, watch Evil Genius on Netflix. This is about the 2003 Erie, Pennsylvania pizza bombing. Like, if you go to Google and put Pennsylvania pizza bombing, that's what's going to come up. You'll understand what we're talking about. Also, too, I guess Jackie and I will have to go on Instagram and talk about it because Brandy didn't watch it because she's too good to watch it. And I might have to get one of my cousins, another cousin, in on this to talk about Love is Blind season 2. We have to talk about Love is Blind. This was the train wreck to end all train wrecks of dating shows this season. I mean, and I'm so angry at Brandy that she didn't watch it because I can't talk about it with her because she doesn't even know who these people are.
I don't.
So after next week's show, me and Jackie will try to go on Instagram, talk about Love is Blind, which has nothing to do with Black Coffee and Crime, but we're still going to do it. Any last minute anything before we end this coffee session?
Can't think of anything.
Coffee break. All right. Well, we will see y'all next week. We just wanted to, you guys to see our faces and know that we are still here. Didn't want to leave you hanging. But we will see you next week for a regular episode.
Watch the documentary so that you can see how crazy it is. Join in the discussion.
And we're so confused because we are really trying to find the point to any of this. So join us next week. Watch the documentary, read a few articles. We'll see you next week. Have a good cup of coffee and enjoy your night. Good night.